Hey everyone, it's David Nielsen with Platinum Idaho Real Estate at Silver Creek. I wanted to take just a quick minute and do a quick market update because the April numbers came in last week, and I wanted to share those with you as we're watching the COVID-19 pandemic, especially here in the Valley. We're wanting to see how things are trending. So I want to share with you a few numbers. So bear with me. We'll walk through. We'll give you the status on the Treasure Valley real estate market and our forecast for the future and what things look like. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into this. First, let's start here. You'll look here on the monthly sales units. So this is where you see in the Statesman and maybe other news articles like, oh, the Treasure Valley markets, sales have fallen. And yeah, it is true. Sales have fallen. That's absolutely true. You can see typically during this time and this season, the sales are trending upwards in past years. But if we look at 2020 in the red, they really did drop from March into April. I think a lot of that is because we're not getting the influx of out-of-state buyers because everybody else is on lockdown. And I think there's just some general anxiety, nervousness amongst buyers and sellers in our market. But bear with me as we work through the rest of these numbers. So the next thing I wanted to talk about too is the pending sales. So we are seeing that the pending sales are up from just a little bit up from last month here in red, but they're down a significant amount from this time last year. I don't think that's the end of the world because if you have, you're going to have fewer pending sales are going to result in fewer closed sales. So this to me isn't alarming that we've had fewer pending sales. I would expect during a viral pandemic that we would see this happen. You can look at new construction. Pending sales dropped a little bit from last month. The existing construction or existing homes for sale, they really came down quite a bit. But again, this isn't, I don't think, cause for concern. But last month, if you remember, we talked about inventory. This is something else that I was watching because it was kind of not alarming, but I'm like, well, we want to watch this. But we saw a big jump in inventory from February to March. Inventory levels spiked really high. And when inventory levels get high, that's when you start to think, what's the market doing? But then you look here from March to April, I mean, they went up just a little bit and we're exactly on par as to where we were in 2019. So right now the inventory levels are really low, which is what 2019 was. So I don't see any trending. We'll continue to watch that, but levels are low compared to when they were back in 2008 when inventory levels were at an all-time high. And if we look at new construction inventory, it's increased a little bit. Existing resale inventory, it's basically about the same as where it was last month. So it did jump up, but then it kind of leveled off. Let's see. Let's talk about Let's talk about prices though in Ada County. Now I'm only looking at Ada County. The Canyon County numbers are similar. Maybe not even quite hit by the virus quite as hard. But the Ada County numbers, the average or the median sales price actually increased by about $8,000 from $366 to $374. So if we break that down to new construction went from $410 to $415, and existing went from $350 to $346, which really isn't a change at all. So really, we're not seeing prices decreasing. Prices, in fact, are increasing overall within the valley. This is another thing that I think people have picked up on, thinking, oh no, we're on doomsday and the market's going to crash. We have seen the immediate forecast of inventory or the months of inventory increase, and this is calculated by looking at the current inventory for that month divided by the number of sales for that month. And so if we only look at a 1 month snapshot, we went from 1.5 from the last 2 months all the way up to 1.9. So you think, oh wow, that's kind of an increase in time on market. And you can see that bigger increase is really in homes that are above $400,000 and certainly up to $1 million. So if you're in the $1 million price range, it's going to take some time to sell your property. But that's understandable. A lot of $1 million home buyers are coming from out of state. They're all in lockdown, and that time on market is just going to be a bit longer. But what we need to do is we need to look at the rolling average. And so I look 2 months back to see what that looks like. And the average months of inventory is 1.7 months of inventory now, which is what it was last month. If we want to break that down into new construction, now this is going back all the way to 2005, you can see the new construction inventory is about 2.5 months on the market. And at one point it was at 17 months on the market back in 2008. So you can see we're nowhere near where we were back in 2008. And if we look at existing construction, the average time on market is 1.2 months down here at the bottom right, and it was almost 16 months of inventory. So we're so far down in the low inventory seller's market territory that I don't think there's any cause for concern at this point. I guess to summarize, we're very optimistic about the market. Prices are holding strong. Inventory levels are super low. Interest rates are super low. There's a lot of activity out there. With phase 2 opening up, we're now allowed to do open houses again, obviously limiting the number of people that can be at the open house. We're doing open houses again. We're showing properties. We're getting multiple offers. We're squeezing every penny out of our listings for our sellers. So the market, we believe, is very, very good. And it's encouraging, too, to see the trends for COVID, at least in Idaho, really, really dropping down. And we're very optimistic as a team that our gradual 4-phase opening of our economy is going to just breathe new life into our economy, which is what we need. But as far as the real estate market, it's just fantastic. We're actually busier now than we were before COVID started. And one thing that we all agree on as a team, and many other people that I talk to in our industry, is you think of all of those people who are in quarantine in other states, particularly like California, where we're getting where we've had so much inward migration to Idaho. Everybody in California is in lockdown. They can't leave their homes without a mask on unless they're going to an essential service. And you think, who's going to want to be locked down there versus in Idaho, where we're already starting to open up the economy and praying that all goes well. But I just think people who have been on the fence about relocating from other areas, not just California, people who have been on the fence, I think people are going to come in swarms to Idaho. So I believe we'll still, once it all passes, we'll see an even bigger shortage of inventory, and we'll see prices spike as demand really increases once COVID is over. So anyway, that being said, that's our take on the market, some numbers to share with you. I hope you found this helpful. As always, if you have specific questions or something, feel free to reach out to me or any member of our team. And we're here to help. We hope that you all stay safe and do well, and we'll catch up with you next month. Take care.